Because of the way the universe is created, we each of us live in two worlds at the same time. We have to live in the outer life of our own bodies and the inner life of our own souls.
Hello and welcome to Living the Inner Life. I'm your host, Chris Sheridan, and I want you to join with me on a journey into our inner lives, our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, everything that helps shape the way we respond to and interact with the outside world. And if we can use our tools of consciousness, we can live a better life, inner, outer, and in our total experience. All right? Well, one thing we don't want to have is too much of anything. We also don't want to have not enough. So I want to talk about abundance and lack. And they seem to be very well connected, not just opposites, but it's in the way we look at these things. All right? A lot of people, when they're trying to achieve prosperity and success, might say, well, I have so much lack. I lack this. I lack that. I'm lacking this abundance. Okay? Now, I'm wondering, is this really a lack of abundance, or is it an abundance of lack? Okay? If we focus too much on what we don't have, that becomes more of what we do have. It takes more of our energy, more of our time, our thought. Our whole being goes into what we don't have, and it doesn't help us get it. It just reinforces the not having it. So if there's any lack, you may be experiencing an abundance of lack, of not enough. Not enough money, not enough time, not enough friends, not enough peace and quiet, whatever it is you're after that you don't seem to have enough of, that you want to have more of, more abundantly. Focus on the abundance, not on the lack. Even if the abundance is relatively small, okay? A small abundance, if that makes any sense. So that which you do have, okay, if you can focus on that, grow that, make that bigger, make that more abundant. You're moving in that direction of the things that you want. And you're moving away from lack and doing without, or whatever it is that you don't seem to have enough of. Focus on the what you want to have, not the fact or the idea that you don't have enough. Because this isn't always exactly true. All right? I've talked before about how the simple, very small mustard seed, it was a parable in the Bible as well, that this teeny little seed can become this great plant. It grows together like a vine or a weed or a bamboo thing. It can take over the ground. And of course, it's very spicy. It has a very spicy aspect to it, this mustard seed, if you end up making mustard out of it, mix it with horseradish. So it can be very powerful. Something very small can be very powerful. Or even an acorn. Well, it's a lot bigger than a mustard seed, but an oak tree is a lot bigger than a mustard grove. So anything small can be made big. So if you walk around with an acorn, and you're saying, geez, I'm lacking oak trees. I wish I had an abundance of oak trees, and I don't. I just have lack. All I have is this acorn. You may have 100 acorns and think, wow, look at all this nothing that I have. These are not oak trees, and there's a bunch of them, and I don't want these. I want an oak tree. Well, then you have to plant it. You have to put it in the ground where it will germinate, and nature will take over, and with enough sunlight, with enough rain, with enough nutrients in the soil, this plant will grow from a seedling into a sprout, a shoot, whatever it's going to be on its way to becoming this oak tree. Okay? And the oak tree is very powerful. They can live a long time. It's great wood if you want to make furniture out of it. It's heavy and dense, or you can burn it in your fireplace. So that it can go on, and then of course it can make more acorns so that more oak trees can come. So this one acorn can grow into an oak tree, and that oak tree can produce these acorns from the oak tree, which become more oak trees. That's quite a bit of abundance from a very small acorn, which may seem like a lack, okay? But it's only lack in its present form, and it will stay lack if you keep it in its present form. That is, if you don't plant it in the ground, if you don't let it do what it needs to do by nature to become what it's destined to become. Okay, it's dormant right now in this acorn state. But if you just see, well, this is just an acorn, it's not doing anything. I can't chop it down, I can't burn in the fireplace, I can't build a house or a table or chairs with it. It is not an oak tree, it's an acorn. And there it shall stay unless you do something to catalyze it. Okay, this germination, any seed that you put, say like in a wet cloth or even in the wet ground, will germinate. It'll crack open, this whole process. Okay, and you can take a seed that's very, very old, a very old acorn. Doesn't matter. As long as it's not damaged, it will stay in this ready-to-be grown state. And then when you put it in the ground and give it the moisture and the darkness that it needs, it will transform itself. It'll sprout from inside. The shell of the seed, whatever kind it is, will split open, and this shoot, this sprout, will come forth and poke upwards from the soil into the air, into the light where it needs this sunlight to grow and continue to become what was already set in motion. Okay? You don't have to program an acorn to become an oak tree. It's already in there. It's already in the programming. It's already in its DNA. And if it is just allowed to do what it is supposed to do, what it needs to do to grow, the rest will happen all on its own. Now, you can cultivate the soil. You can make sure there are no other trees in the way that are maybe blocking the sunlight. There's little things we can do on the outside. Of course, if you're farming, there's a lot more you need to do because there's pests and there's weather and there's all kinds of other factors that go into it. But the actual growing, whether it's a crop or an oak tree, happens all on its own. It's already designed that way. Okay? And the same can be true of an idea or a dream or a goal. Maybe it's a home business. Maybe it's a hobby that you wanted to really do. Maybe it's a career. Could be anything, having kids. It starts out as an idea. All the greatest inventions of all times were at one time an idea that is even smaller than an acorn, smaller than a mustard seed. Okay, it's not even real as far as tangible, hard stuff. It's very etheric, it's ephemeral, it's invisible, but it's real. It's a thought, it's an idea, it's a concept. And from there, you can make a list, you can write a proposal or a mission statement, you can write your thesis, or if it's an invention for a product or a device, you can start with technical drawings, you can start building prototypes, and then you can test those out to see if they're going to work or not. And then after research and development and a lot of work in the laboratory, you can come up with something, whether that's studying or inventing or whatever it is you're doing to unfold what's already there. Okay? Because an idea is like an acorn. It's not just one thought for today. It can be a thought that can unfold itself, unfold this potential as time goes on. If you cultivate it, if you do what you need to do with a seed to give it the nourishment that it needs, okay, the right kind. So instead of focusing and maybe complaining about what you don't have, no matter how true that seems, focus on what you do have, something small. An idea itself doesn't really weigh anything, but you could come up with one of the greatest ideas in the world that will help change the world, change lives, make this place better than it was when you got here and when you leave. Okay, so have this seed mentality. Thoughts are seeds. And it works the other way too. Okay? You ever hear of a bad seed? Or it takes one bad apple to spoil the bunch? All right? If you focus on that, if you have a seed of a bad idea, or doubt, or fear, or restraint, or self-censorship in the negative way, if you're keeping yourself from saying, from doing, from studying, from building, from following through on your dream, from taking your idea and making it real, realize it, make it real, okay? If you're not focusing on that and you're instead focusing on the difficulty, the fear it may not work out, people will laugh when they see my play, and when they shouldn't laugh, okay, it's not a comedy, or they won't laugh if it is a comedy. You can do that with anything, any idea, any goal, any plan. You can come up with 101 reasons why you shouldn't do it, even if I really want to do it, but it's so hard, or I don't know, at my age, can I start something new? The list can go on. You can go on and on with all these justifications or excuses. They're really just fears. And the fear mainly being of the unknown, because you don't know. Okay, now you can have faith or belief or trust that when you plant that acorn in the ground and give it the water it needs, that it most likely will turn into and grow into an oak tree. Now, occasionally there's some seeds that don't bring fruition, or there can be other factors. Maybe the dog dug it up when it was still trying to grow and hadn't really take root. There are pitfalls. There are things along the way. But for the most part, this acorn's going to grow into an oak tree. Just like your ideas. If you have this idea, if you have this goal, that you can take it and give it this nourishment. Okay? So what is this nourishment for a seed? It's moisture, okay? And water is a symbol for emotion, for feelings, metaphysically. And it's also the stuff of life. Most of the earth is water. Most of me and you is composed of water in some form or another. It's one of the greatest building blocks of life. And it takes this, that's why you want to store seeds in a dry place. You don't want to store seeds where it's moist, because then they'll start growing when you don't want them to. But you put this in this dark, moist area, which seems kind of weird when you think like, oh, I want to take my idea and I want to bring it out into the open. I want to have it burst forth. You do, and it will. But initially, this containment, okay, it's almost this hiding. You're sequestering it. You're giving it what it needs, this catalyst that's going to light the fire. In this case, it's the water that's going to moisten the seed husk, and it's going to germinate the life force that's just ready to be awakened in this seed, in this acorn, or in your idea. So bring it into the darkness, and I mean that in a very good way, like you would when you're planting something in the ground. That's where the nourishment is. And it's also safe. Okay, if you just throw some seeds on the ground, they may dry up. A bird may come by and eat them before they have a chance to do anything else. And then that's not going to happen. So you have to put it in this safe and nourishing place. So you might want to think about that when you have a goal or an idea, especially when it's new, when it's fresh, when you haven't really made too much progress. It's in that aha and that, realization. Wow, okay, I thought of it. I had an epiphany. I know what I need to do now. I need to go back to school and get my law degree. That would be great. And instead of just blurting out with that and telling everybody initially, keep it to yourself. Bring it inside, deep inside. This is the inner life. This is the inner part of the earth where the seed can grow. It's safe. It's protected from all kinds of elements, and it is rich. It is abundant with minerals and other nourishing enzymes, things in the soil that it needs to grow and to become healthy. Okay, and then after it sprouts and shoots up above ground, then it gets the nourishment it needs from the sun and the wind and, of course, the water continually that it needs from the beginning all the way through, as do we. So initially, take your idea, take this goal, and bring it inside. Bring in your feelings, this water, this emotion. Okay, catalyze it, energize it with why you want to do this, what that might feel like, what it is that you've maybe always wanted to do, or maybe it's a new idea. I'm not sure. But regardless, if it's new for you to commit or to really decide this is something that you want this abundance, don't tell anyone, okay? Keep it safe, but keep it active in you. And that means keeping it safe, not only from outside influence, because if you tell somebody, you start talking about it, people are like, oh yeah, that's what you said about your get-rich-quick real estate scheme, or that's what you said about, they may not believe you, or they may, oh yeah, you better do this. Wow, let me know how it goes, and tell me next week if you passed the bar or not. It's like, well, it may not happen on their time frame, and that can put some pressure. And there can be a lot of times people might respond to a new, fresh idea or a new direction in your life. And it's not that they wish you ill. It's just that they may be jealous that they don't have an idea or something. So sometimes the tendency is, for some people anyway, to be a little less than supportive. They may mock in some way your idea, or say, oh, geez, all the reasons why maybe they're not following suit with one of their ideas or one of their goals. They can project that on you and say, oh, yeah, you're going to go off to Hollywood and make it. You'll be back in 6 months, trust me. Or, oh, gosh, it's so competitive. How are you ever going to find your way through? You don't know anybody out there. Or, going back to school, get your PhD at 60. What? You're not going to get hired anywhere when you get out. There may be other reasons to do that. Okay, but whatever this is, I'm started out talking about lack and abundance, but I guess this is a little more about personal growth and the initial seed. Okay, this initial idea, when it's in seed form and you're now starting to catalyze it, it's going to germinate, it's going to sprout, but you do it in a dark, that's inside. Nothing wrong with the darkness. Okay, it'll get out in the light soon enough, but it's safe. And you also want to keep it protected from your own thoughts and your own fears and your own doubts, or second guessing it, or this weird logic creeps in and says, well, statistically, somebody your age really shouldn't, it would be very rare. The odds are against you. And some of those facts and figures might be correct to some degree, but that's never a reason to not do something. Okay? You can use it as an excuse to talk yourself out of it. So when you bring this idea into the darkness, and you're watering it, you're nourishing it with your emotions and your vitality, this make it rich and alive. Okay? Right now it's dormant. It's in suspended animation, and you want to animate it. You want to wake it up. You want to energize it and get it going, get it to where it's strong enough to break through. Okay, and that's one of the great things about the ground, the underground part of planting a seed or putting it inside you. If you really bring it in deep inside and you work on it and you water it with all your good feelings and you do the research you need to maybe get the tools or to get really stronger idea of what's going to be involved to do this. You're empowering yourself. You're making this idea stronger and bigger, and it will start to come forth. It'll burst up. And if it can make it through this journey from the underground to the above ground, well, then it's strong enough. It's sort of like a chick getting out of an egg when it's time to hatch. That's one of the first tests they have in life, at least in life beyond, the egg state, is that if you're not strong enough to peck your way out of the egg, well, then you're not going to make it. Okay? And that may be one of the first ways or first stages of weeding at least a chicken life out of existence if it's not ready for it. Okay? So if your idea gets nourished and it does poke through the shell, it does break through the underground to the above ground, well, then it's strong. Then you have some strength. Then it's strong enough for people to get the idea. You can share it because at some point you're going to want to tell everybody, or at least tell anybody who might be able to help you. And you will have this idea more fully formed. Okay, the most dangerous part of a new idea or a new project or a new song or anything is when it's so fresh. Okay? It is really vulnerable to outside attack, whether that's malicious or maybe somebody's just looking out for you and saying, geez, you better be realistic about this idea, this goal you have. Can't you pick something a little more reasonable? Honestly, they're probably just looking out for you and mean well, but it can be a dream killer. It really can. You can crush your goals and some of your hopes if you bring it out in the open too soon. So keeping it incubated, keeping it in the ground, inside you, in this laboratory of your inner life, where you're energizing it and you're informing yourself, you're developing it, maybe you're clarifying your mission statement, you're getting more and more into why I want to do that, what is this going to take, you're taking action, and this is building the case. So when it comes up and you're ready to share it, you're going to be stronger. You're going to be rooted. Okay, that part is still going to be grounded deep within, and it will be strong. And you need to keep grounding it. The roots keep on growing. As the tree grows up, the roots continue to grow down. Okay, so you're going to want to keep this nourishment, keep this inner part of your idea. Okay? And like a tree, the bigger the tree, the bigger the root system. So the bigger your goal, the bigger you have to be grounded. It has to be ingrained in every part of your soul. And then as it comes out into the light and you can share it and you can put it into action, at some point it'll be undeniable. You won't be able to hide it. And it's not really that you're hiding, but you've grown it. You've incubated it enough. And then you have it solid. And you've also weeded out a lot of your own doubts or fears or naysayer within that may try to talk you out of it. Okay? Because there can be challenges. There always are. Okay? Especially with something really big or something good or something new. Maybe it's important for you. Maybe there's a lot of meaning and purpose behind it. Okay, and focus in on that, connect that to it. It's not just a goal. It's something that really means something to you. And other people may or may not understand that. They don't have to. You do, though. You have to be solid on what this thing is and what it means to you and why you're willing to commit and make the sacrifices and investments of time and resource to be able to bring this thing to life, to bring it out into the open, to bring it up. And you know what? Once it grows up, like a tree, it's going to support other life. It'll emanate out, and it'll be bigger than just whatever your own personal idea for this goal was. It can do more than that, okay? So think of that. Think of this potential that's ready to come out, okay? And don't focus on the lack, okay? Don't have an abundance of lack. If you feel like you lack abundance, maybe check with that. Maybe there already is an abundance and you need to focus on that. You need to recognize that, synthesize that, combine everything and make it into this one goal, this one dream, or one at a time anyway, that you can dedicate your energies, your resources. You're going to bring it into that safe place within where not even your own inner doubting voices can touch it or harm it or knock it off the rails, and bring it out into the light and share it. And may it grow into a healthy oak tree or dream life or career or whatever it is that you're after, and see in that little lack the abundance that awaits within. All right. Well, we'll see you next time here on Living the Inner Life.